this video is going to be about why I believe you should not quit your job to be an online entrepreneur. I'm going to talk about my personal experience and what you should do instead, from my perspective, from going through this um, partly myself and then from seeing other people go through it as well, right? So, why does this matter? Like I said, there's too many people that um, quit their job and want to start a business, want to start making money online and stuff like that, and later on they have to go through a lot of pain and suffering because of that decision. Or there's a lot of people that want to quit their job and are like, um, what's the word, like flirting with the idea, and it's really kind of destroying their current reality so much. Their perspective is so bad surrounding their real job that it kind of like makes them feel depressed, even when it really shouldn't. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, the main reasons why people tend to regret quitting their job to be an online entrepreneur is because, well, they run out of money very, very quickly. Um, and because they run out of money very, very quickly, and we'll get into all of this, um, they are forced to work and take on projects and take on clients that they hate working on or hate working with. And then they just basically just built another prison for themselves, and they end up being more stressed with their 9 to 5, because instead of working like from 9 to 5, they'll be working from, I don't know, like 6 to 6, right? You know what I mean? Um, and I've gone through this to a degree. My situation was a little bit different, but I have seen people go through this, right? And I just want to save you from all this turmoil, because it's just so unnecessary. Okay, and there's a better way to do it, right? We'll talk about the better way, 100%, right? So if you are this person, right, you have a 9 to 5 right now, you eventually want to do your own thing, make your own money, start an online business, stuff like this. Please do it this way, and don't just quit your job out of nowhere and expect to start making 10K like in 2 months. Whoever, I don't know whose webinar you were watching, but that's not how it works typically. Okay, so before we get into that, let me just give you a quick background of who I am. So my name is Belman Falk, obviously, since you clicked the video. But I used to be an athlete. I used to be a judoka, and that was my life from like 12 to 18, something like that. I was just training twice a day. My life was essentially just trying to go to the Olympics, right? So trying to become European champion, world champion, going to the Olympics. That was my ultimate goal back then. The problem was that I didn't care anymore, right? I loved the sport, and I still do. Genuinely love the sport, genuinely love martial arts, but I just don't care about being an Olympic champion. I don't know. It just didn't give me a sense of purpose, nothing. Um, so um, I did become like 2 times national champion, and it's cool and all, right? Winning medals, winning titles is cool and all, but I don't know. It didn't give me that. It didn't scratch my itch, if that makes sense. So um, at some point, I really, really had an itch to become or to do entrepreneurial stuff, right? And that's when I went to university, because I was like gonna study business and stuff like this. I did that. Didn't go very well. Went to college, was a little bit better, but it ended up dropping out anyway. And that's when I ended up starting a e-com brand, right? So I started a private labeling e-com brand, which was a very, very cool experience. That was like around 18, 19 years old. I did like 30,000 in revenue within that time. It was like 1 year, 1.5 years. The problem was that I lost 8,000 euros worth of savings, right? Because you need to buy stock, you need to buy all kinds of things, right? So I didn't know what the difference was between profit and cash flow, right? Maybe you don't either. No worries, you don't have to for this video. But that kind of like messed me up, and had to stop running that business, right? After that, um, I learned copywriting. This was from Andrew Tate's Hustles University. I don't know if you know that. But did well with that. Made my first $10,000 online in profit, right? Very, very important profit. And I was able to, I had a comfortable living back then, and was able to move to Thailand. And that's when I started an agency. Then we scaled that to like over 200,000 per year. Um, and these are like cool achievements and everything. But in the end, like I still ended up miserable. There's a lot about the business that I really, really, really didn't like. Um, and that's why I'm pivoting into content, what I'm doing right now, right? Which is helping aspiring entrepreneurs, helping young, ambitious guys kind of find their own way, um, and basically follow a path centered around their own ideal lifestyle instead of making money the center, right? Because that's the main mistake that I made. Anyway, um, before we get into it, if this does resonate with you, if this genuinely is like, yeah, this is my stuff, then feel free to drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, because you have no idea how much this helps, right? So do that, not only for me but also for yourself, right? So more content like this will show up on your feed. So now let's talk about the specifics, right? The big problem with quitting too soon, right? First and foremost is that typically, this is coupled with a hyper focus on money and a misaligned life, right? So, for example, like I chased money so hard that I forgot why I even wanted the money in the first place, which was freedom, right? And I suppose you have the same reason or somewhat of the same reason, right? You want freedom, right? You want to do what you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, wherever you want, at any time, right? But what happened instead was that I built a new prison for myself, right? And before, I was a college student, right? Like I said, I went to university. University was crap. I really didn't like university, but even college, right? Um, and I was so, and you may be feeling similar in your job, right? I was feeling so like this is not where I want to be. This is not where I should be. Like I don't vibe with these people. Like um, or like you feel like boxed into a corner, like I have to show up to these classes, I have to show up to and I was doing a student job as well, although I mean definitely not as bad as like a 9 to 5 or anything, I know that. But I can imagine, and I've talked to many people as well, so I can imagine how that feels. But trust me, like I worked years, like late into the night. I would work from I don't know, man. I would just wake up and work. I would late work until like 3, 4 in the morning. I'm not even joking. Like my mom thought that I was dealing drugs. It was that bad, right? Literally, I would come home, and the next day she would be like, "Bellman, just be honest with me. Are you dealing drugs?" It's like, no, no, no. I'm genuinely just working, right? But the problem was that I was working, and eventually I just built another prison for myself, right? So I built this business, right, because I wanted freedom. And then what happened? I was being called late at night. I had to like solve emergency issues at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. Often I'd have to like stay up entire nights for launches or to solve problems. And it's just, this is not the life you want, man. Or even like, I have to be, man, because of well, technical aspects. Like every time there's a sales call at like fucking late at night, I need to be um, available to be able to send an extra invoice or like all that kind of stuff. It's just terrible, dude. And this was absolutely not what I wanted. Or like client calls and that kind of stuff. Ugh. Like I mean, I don't have a problem with my clients, right? Like definitely not. Like I love them, but damn it, I hate doing calls, man. It is what it is. And yeah, you're basically stuck. You basically build another 9 to 5 for yourself, right? That's the thing. Maybe it's something that you enjoy a little bit more, but um, how it's structured, right? That's the prison. right? So that's what I went through. And the problem or the big mistake that I made that I don't want you to make, and I want you to take this away from this video, is that I started with money first. All I cared about was just money, right? Instead of putting lifestyle first, right? If I had put lifestyle first and I crafted my ideal day, my ideal week, my ideal month, my ideal year, if I crafted everything out like this, I would have never even built what I built, right? It would have been very clear at some points where I would be like, no, not doing that. Doesn't align with my vision. No, right? When you have a clear lifestyle vision, that is when you will make better decisions, right? Because right now, all your decisions will be centered around making money, right? So it doesn't even matter what else around it is sacrificed. It doesn't matter, right? All I care about is money, and you will get money in, right? For sure, you'll get money in, you'll make tens of thousands, right? But it doesn't matter, right? And I know that that sounds crazy, but it doesn't matter, right? So take that advice, start with lifestyle first, and you will make way better decisions for yourself. Now, number two, why, the problem with quitting too soon is that you have no safety net. So you make desperate decisions, right? So when you quit too soon, you accept bad clients just to survive. You have to, right? You cannot invest in any mentorship or software or tools. So it takes you much, much, much longer to get results with whatever you're trying to do, which you don't really have the time to because well, you don't have a job, you don't have any safety net. So you make choices from panic and not logic. And this has happened to me and to us in the agency as well, where um, we not only were we because nobody had like any safety net or anything, right? We didn't start out with like savings and stuff like this. So at some point it's like, bro, we need to make target, right? We need to, because otherwise we won't be able to, because we have very, very expensive bills. We need to be able to pay for all this, blah 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 blah. So then we were forced to accept clients that were just a terrible fit for us, just to get the cash in, right? Which is terrible, 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 terrible for your business. And more of the time, like, these taking on the bad clients, it will lose you way more time and money in the long run than you could ever imagine, right? Because if we would have just waited, or if we have the safety net, or if we had a 9 to 5, so to speak, um, and we were able to say no to the bad clients, and then like a month later or whatever, we could like endure a little bit more time before we get a good client, that would have made a major, major difference, right? So that's kind of what I want to communicate as well. Like, you cannot invest in mentorship, you cannot invest in any like good courses, right? Because you're all by yourself. Probably you don't have many entrepreneurial friends, not to mention entrepreneurial friends with experience, right? You may have friends that are ambitious or are athletes or whatever it is, but do they have in field and in field experience of what you're trying to do? Probably not. So everything that you're doing is just um, figuring it out, just trial and error, just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And brother, you will waste so much time and money. You will make because you'll make the wrong decisions. You'll waste time and you'll waste money just because you do not know. But if you have your 9 to 5, or if you have a big safety net, right, then you can invest into mentorship, into coaching, and all these things, and you will move forward at a way more rapid pace. It'll be way more enjoyable because you'll be able to like kind of like swing by all the pitfalls so much faster, and you'll get to the result faster, right? Because imagine, brother, you don't have any safety net. If you don't have a 9 to 5 and you don't have like a huge amount of savings, you need to make it work ASAP. You need to make money ASAP to be able to survive. Imagine if you have like a wife or children, or if you have like a girlfriend, if you're not married yet, but you need to provide for someone else, right? That this is why you will be cornered and pressured into taking bad deals, into taking bad clients, into maybe even doing some shady stuff that you don't want to do. um like, don't do it. It's just terrible, right? And yeah, this is taught me, for me speaking, man, like I've seen this as well. Don't do it. Like, yeah, I don't know what to say, man. And then another thing about this is the desperation, right? Not only will it take you longer to get clients, but it's also much, much harder to get clients. And this is also why it takes longer, obviously. And the reason is because of the desperation, right? People can smell the desperation on you, right? They know the difference between when you need them or when you um, can provide value. You know what I mean? So imagine like in a relationship, right, between like man and woman, right? If um, a man is, you know, has never had a girlfriend before in his life, he's like 30 years old or something, he can feel like time, like, oh my god, like I'm 30, like everyone around me is like getting married, everyone around me is having kids and stuff. I've never had a girlfriend before. So this guy is going to be a lot more pushy, a lot more needy when it comes to dating, right? And when he starts dating, and um, maybe the woman doesn't text back immediately, so he like starts double texting, so like, hey, is everything okay, like okay, like we're not gonna meet up anymore, like whatever, you know. I'm not really sure how these things go, but the point is that he will feel so desperate that his behavior will become too aggressive and too pushy, which will push her away. She will be like, ugh, ay ay ay. It's not he's not necessarily into me, but he needs me. You know what I mean? It's like a validation thing. Like, oh, he needs me to be to survive, so to speak, right? Same thing is in business, right? If a client can smell that you need them for money or to survive, they will be repelled by it, just intuitively, but also in terms of like, bro, like, it's not a, I'm not here to pay your bills, right? I'm here to pay you so you can make me more money, right? It depends on what your service or product that you're offering, but it's a value exchange, right? They're not just like paying you a salary. That's not the point. So when they can smell like, oh, this guy just really needs to make some money, they're immediately repelled by that, right? So, but if you're in that position, if you just quit your job, you don't have any big savings, and you need to make money right now, you're going to be pushy, right? And I'm telling you, I have seen this before. I've seen so many deals just be absolutely like be ruined because of this. We call it commission breath, basically, because of this, right? But imagine, and we'll get into this, right? When you have a nicer job, a 9 to 5, you have a safety net, then you'll be able to say no, right? You don't care that much about the client or bad clients or whatever. You'll be like, oh, okay, like if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I'll just keep working, right? Keep looking for other clients that do want to work with me. So big, big, big point, right? Number three, wrong goals, wrong path. Like I said, when you need money now, you will do anything, right? The wrong niche, wrong offers, which is like the service you offer, the product you offer, and the wrong business model, right? You will build a business that you hate just to escape the job that you hated, right? The irony is crazy, but literally, that's exactly what I just talked about, right? Because you need the money now, you will make terrible, terrible decisions, and you will be forced to do anything to make the money now, right? That's the problem, right? You think you have a choice, right? Wait until you have nothing on your bank account and you don't have any sign of new clients, right? Either you're gonna do anything to get your any clients, any type of business or whatever it is, right? Any type of money, you'll do anything, or you're going to be so desperate and scared you're gonna run back to your job right away, right, or to any type of job, right? Now, what happened to your entrepreneurial journey, right? Anyway, now let's talk about the better path, right? Let's talk about what you can do instead that will make this journey entire. Like, it can be extremely comfortable, right? And I'm not gonna say that it's like super easy and you're gonna be chilling all the time and you'll never have to work and all. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I'm saying at least like mentally, financially, it will be way more comfortable, right? Obviously, you need to work hard. I'm not saying that you don't, but let's say you keep the job, right? And you build from safety, right? Your job, you need to start changing your perspective when it comes to your job, when it comes to your 9 to 5. Your 9 to 5 is not a prison, right? It's like a key to the prison, right? I'm like, bear with me through the metaphors. I know that they won't always make sense, but you're looking at it like, ah, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I want to leave, like, ah, but in reality, this is the thing that will allow you to leave, right? Because they're paying you, and every single month you have money left over, right? I mean, I hope so. I hope you have some money left over, and if you don't, then you need to probably like lower your living standard a little bit. But yeah, man. um and the reason why this is so important is because, one, you'll be able to invest into mentorship, right? And or at least a course, a good course. You know what I mean? Because I know that I've said this in videos before. Like, everything is free on YouTube, right? Everything is out here on YouTube. It's true, right? But dude, if you are a complete beginner, you don't even know how to discern what is good and what is not good, right? You don't even know. You have no idea. So if you follow something wrong, you could literally waste years of your life, right? I don't want you to do that. Like, I wasted time like that before I did the ecom thing. I did print on demand, I did like theme pages, and I did it all randomly just from like seeing some stuff online, and obviously it didn't work, right? When stuff actually like kind of took off was, lo and behold, I bought a course. Yep, I bought a course, you know. Um, so if you want to go faster, definitely just get mentorship, get coaching, buy a course, right? I don't know if you like, oh, it's a scam, it's all scams. So, like, if you're that guy, then like, bro, I don't have any hope for you, to be honest. Like, your mindset is too limited, you're too afraid, it's not going to work for you, right? But if you have some, if you're somewhat open-minded towards that, just get a course, get mentorship, right? You'll go way faster. Not only that, but you'll also be able to buy services, buy tools, right? So for example, if you need any video editing done, you may be learning a specific type of skill, but for some projects or for some parts of your business, you may need another skill which you don't have, right? If you genuinely do not have the skill, then yeah, you can just learn it, but typically it's not worth it because you suck, right? And it takes a long time to get good at the thing, right? You'll be able to invest into that, and not only that, also tools, right? You'll be able to invest into, I don't know if you need Loom software to film videos, for example. I use a lot of Loom for my courses, right? So they're filmed on Loom. Or for example, when I post clips on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and stuff like this, I use a software for that, right? Because it will help you save time and it'll help you do things better, right? But if you have, if you have no income whatsoever, you need to fucking hoard your money, before you go bankrupt, then obviously it'll be hard for you to invest in this type of stuff, okay? Especially also for outreach, right? Like, now the outreach system that I recommend does not need any paid softwares. But for example, for our agency, we use paid softwares. And I know for a lot of other niches, it depends what you want to do. You may need paid software. And these types of things are not that cheap, right? So just to keep in mind, like, the job is your way out, right? Your job is the ironically, it's the key to the prison, right? But if you basically, if you quit your job, it's like taking this key and then just like throwing it out, and then you're like stuck behind bars, and you're like, oh no, like that's essentially what's happening, right? No, 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 like um, use the key, right, to get yourself out of there. Okay, it may take some time, it may take some like, but eventually you'll do it. Okay. The second reason why it's so much better to keep your 9 to 5 is because you'll have a double income phase, and you'll have like crazy levels of abundance at that point, right? So imagine you have your job, right? And I don't know, like let's say like you make like 2.5k net, right, per month. Now, your business, you just started it up, but it's going somewhere, right? You got your first client, or maybe you're selling your first products and you're making like 500 bucks a month, right? 500 bucks profit. That means like now you have 3k profit, right? That's, for a lot of people, that is quite a bit more every single month, right? Now, you're at a point where you have the freedom to say no to bad clients, right? If someone does not align with your lifestyle, someone does not align with your values, sorry, no, it's not a good fit. Like, nice to meet you, but I have to move on, right? You can do that because you have that abundance, right? If you have no 9 to 5, if you have no work, if you have no clients whatsoever, you are forced to take on anyone, right? That anyone does not align with your values, anyone that, whatever, is a dick to work with. It is what it is, right? Also, you have the ability to pivot if things are not working out. So maybe you are making some money with some venture, maybe you have some clients, and now you're like, actually, man, I don't like this, right? Maybe you'll experience that, like it's cool to have some extra money, but I just don't like this. That may happen, right? And now, because you're not dependent on that extra money, you have the ability to pivot and to change your venture from one thing to something else, right? If you did not have your 9 to 5, you would not be able to. You would have to keep working on the thing because you have no other income, right? So that's a huge one as well, because the first thing that you do in terms of like entrepreneurship typically is not the thing that you will keep doing in the long term, right, bro? I've done so many different things, right, until I got to this point. So and it's the same thing for almost anyone that I know that is making like multiple 5 figures per month, or even like all the millionaires, all the billionaires that obviously, like their first business venture, either they quit, or they it failed, right? Typically it's like that. Anyway, another thing that I really, really, really recommend is that you start saving, right? So obviously, you want to get to a point where your income from your venture, from your entrepreneurial venture, exceeds the income from your 9 to 5, right? That's when it's like, okay, it's time to quit now. But one thing that's very, very important is to lay a safety buffer, right? You always need to have a safety buffer. So this may depend on your level of risk as well. So, for example, now I wrote down like a 6 month safety net, safety buffer. But if you're like, you don't have people that depend on you, literally just by yourself, maybe you're like younger, or you don't have a wife yet, you don't have kids, you don't have a girlfriend, whatever it is, nobody depends on you, then you could do 3 months, for example, right? That, I would say, that's the bare minimum. Otherwise, it can get very tricky. But like 3 months safety net, right? Save for that, and then it gives you that invincibility effect, which is very, very important when you like are looking for clients, right? That level of abundance, that even if you don't have the 9 to 5, you still have that safety net, because it'll help you make better decisions, right? And then, um, like I said, right, you quit when your side income is consistently bigger than your job's income, right? Or it could also be that maybe it's not really there yet, but you notice that the potential is really there, and your business venture is basically demanding your full attention for it to go to its full potential. That's also possible, right? But if you are in this situation, just make sure to sign off with it on someone that's more experienced, right? Otherwise, you could make a really, really huge mistake. So let's run through some practical steps, right? And I'll give you a bonus cheat code as well. I'll talk about that. But some practical steps. First, define your dream lifestyle, right? What does your freedom look like? What does success look like for you, right? So that you have that as a North Star instead of the money, right? Because you'll make way, way, way better decisions if you have that in mind. Number two is you need to build one high income skill. At least that is what I personally recommend. Um, you build a skill. Maybe you already have a skill because, well, you did a 9 to 5 in something, right? So if you have a specific type of skill in marketing, copywriting, editing, project management, whatever it is, use that skill and offer it to other businesses for a profit, right? There's also other ways, I know there's drop shipping, there's real estate, there's Airbnb and all that kind of stuff, but I typically do not recommend anything where you have to invest upfront because, well, not only do you have to invest upfront, but there's a lot more, you know, I have another video on why I believe you shouldn't start a business. I can link that like somewhere here. Watch that if you don't really understand why I'm not a proponent of starting a drop shipping business or whatever as your first business, right? Um, or e-com, right? Because that's exactly what I did, and it was a terrible idea. Number three, land clients while you are employed, right? Get proof of concept. Make sure you get things working. Number four, save at least 3 months, I would say. Save at least 3 months, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. It depends on your level of risk and it also depends on how much this is for you, right? So, for example, I know in Thailand, you can get around with 1,000 euros per month, right? Easily. You can get around with 1,000 euros per month, uh, at least if you're by yourself for sure. So, yeah, if that's the case, then obviously you need 3,000 euros, right, for three months if you're by yourself. For 6 months, it would be 6,000. And then number five is quit from a position of choice and not desperation, right? Very, very important. And one thing that I also recommend, because a lot of people are like, oh, but bro, I don't have time. My 9 to 5 eats me alive. I hate my boss and stuff like this. Well, either like suck it up and try to see because you're probably being very, very emotional. Try to look at it from a rational standpoint and be like, oh, it's actually not that bad. I'm just like being way too much in my head and like I'm making it way, way worse than it actually is, right? Because typically, all the pain and all the suffering comes from us and our own minds, right? But when you change your perspective, when you change why you're doing the job, when you can see that it's the key instead of the prison itself, then, well, it's the key and the prison, right? But it's your way out essentially. Then it may change your perspective, and suddenly you may, be able to do a good job again and to use it well to your advantage. However, if it's really, really so demanding, you do not have the energy, you do not have the brain power, you do not have the time, then another option is that you just choose a different 9 to 5, right? Personally, I really recommend a 9 to 5 that doesn't take too much brain power from you, right? That's why I like manual labor jobs, and I know that sometimes they can be very, very too demanding as well. So you want to be careful with that. You don't want to go too much to the extreme, but look, for example, like a delivery job or something like this, right? You'll be able to listen to a lot of podcasts or learn, literally watch courses while you're driving or stuff like this. Depends also like what type of delivery you're doing, but or an office job that doesn't really require your mind too much. Maybe you'll get paid less, right? That's true. Maybe you'll get paid less, but I think it's worth it because it'll give you the time, the energy, and the brain capacity to actually build on the side, right? Um, that's a recommendation I would make if you feel like your job is just way too much, right? Don't just quit your job cold turkey and then just go all in on business, right? Don't do that. But just change your job, change your 9 to 5, do something where it does allow you to work on another thing on the side, right? And since you're watching this, you watch this entirely all the way through. You're probably in like, I mean, I don't know, right? You may be in India, you may be in, I don't know, Africa, whatever it is. It may be harder for you then, right? But if you're in the US, if you're in Europe, brother, if you're white or whatever, it's gonna be very, very, even if you're not, if you're a hardworking dude, you can find another job, right? If you cannot, I'm sorry, but you're just lazy, right? Anyway, final thoughts, right? Quitting too soon just leads to stress, panic, bad decisions. But keeping your job while building the side business will give you more clarity and eventually will give you freedom and abundance, right? So take it slow, do it smart. It will be faster in the long run. Trust me. All right. Anyway, man, that is everything that I have for you in this video. If that was valuable, feel free to like, feel free to leave a comment, feel free to subscribe if you want more stuff like this. You can always just like put comments as well with what you want to see. Also, if you would like more daily, raw, nuanced thoughts around entrepreneurship, self improvement, stuff like this, consider joining the free WhatsApp channel. You can check the link in the description. And I also have a paid community where I have essentially all my courses surrounding like how to set up your dream lifestyle, how to change your mindset and change your belief system, how to actually start freelancing, how to get your first client, how to get your first testimonials, etc., how to set up your website, like I call it a mini brand, all that stuff, right? It's all in that community. But the most important thing, to be honest, is the accountability system, right? I have a specific accountability system, which is not complicated, but um, that is the thing that I believe is the most valuable out of all the things that I offer. Um, so yeah, you can literally join for free. It's like a 7 day free trial. You can take everything and then just leave. I don't mind, right? That's exactly why I made it 7 day free trial in the first place. Obviously, if you stay, you'll get more value out of it, right? But it's up to you, right? If you're not able to, I don't judge you. It's all good. That's it, man. Um, I don't have anything to say. So yeah, catch you in the next one.